Hello, hello. Welcome back to another Decentralized Masters podcast. This is the first time we will be going live actually on a Tuesday. So 4 p.m. Pacific or 7 p.m. Eastern time, going forward from here on out. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Decentralized Masters podcast, your go to source for everything in decentralized finance. My name is Tristan. Normally, I have my co host John, but he is just in a little bit of traffic right now, so he might be able to join us later in the session. So for now, you're stuck with me. Uh, we're going to guide you through everything that is happening in the world of DeFi, in the world of crypto, in the world of markets every week, right here on Decentralized Masters. So let me just start off by, doing a little look at the market. You know how we do things here. We start off with crypto bubbles. So we will jump straight to that. All right. So if you can see here, we have mm, an interesting day in the market. Not too. You can't see a clear direction here, and this is kind of what the theme has been for like the last week and a half. There has been no clear up or down in the market. Everything seems to be very token specific, project specific, and we've seen this in the stock market as well. So some tokens, some stocks are doing well, and that usually is specific to their case. So maybe they had a good earnings report in the case of stocks, or here in the case of crypto, perhaps they had a really good announcement, some strong development. I know quite recently, BNB chain had a bit of an announcement, so that's why you can actually see it doing quite positively here today. So you don't really see that theme in the market at the moment. We're in a bit of a consolidation type of period. Um, Let me go to my next little bit here. We're going to go to the coin market cap. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. Uh, Here we go. We're going to look at trading view. And just kind of do a little bit of a small analysis here. I'm not the man of technical analysis. I'm more of a fundamental investor personally. So for the people who are here for their first time, but we will do what we can. You see, we kind of have a bit of a support here going on around the 89 to 90,000 range. Not too crazy. We kind of dropped a little bit below that during that last tariff scare that Trump did on Canada, Mexico, and China. But we recovered nicely from that, really. And it's just been trading in this range here. It's been a little bit up, a little bit down. We all really seeing. We are waiting to see if we're going to break to the upside, break to the downside. Most of the people right now are saying that we are probably going up. Myself, I am conflicted. Uh, I can't say really where we're going. I don't have a crystal ball, but a lot of people, the fundamentals right now. So all these different banks are currently buying tons of Bitcoin. The political situation right now is not too bad. So you meaning Trump, the Federal Reserve, and Congress. A lot of different people at the moment are going out there trying to buy Bitcoin. They're making good regulations to make crypto great again. So it's hard to be bearish right now. So we're definitely in this consolidation period at the moment. Um, let's see what else we got here on the docket. Let's take a quick look at the greed and fear index here. Da-da-da. Pardon me, everyone. All right. So we are a little bit fearful at the moment. Not too bad. As you can see, we dropped to really fearful during the weekend there. This weekend, we had another tariff scare from President Donald Trump. This time, I think it was on the EU. Uh, but I think this is going to be kind of the central theme here in this administration, although being crypto positive, which is a huge bonus, very first crypto positive administration in the United States. That we also have to take the good with the bad. The Trump administration does love using tariffs, and the stock market and just world markets in general do not love tariffs. Tariffs make it hard to do business. So they are not great, but take the good with the bad. I'd rather administration that is fully supportive of the crypto industry, but then uses tariffs instead of one that is not using tariffs but goes out of their way to make doing business in crypto difficult. Um, yeah, so 37% on the fear greed index. Yeah, it's not too great, not too good, but buy when others are fearful, buy when there's blood in the street. A whole bunch of quotes along that type of line. Let's see here. This is a Yeah, I found this to be quite funny. Everyone right now is saying, "Is there an alt season? Will there be an alt season?" No one really knows. If we are seeing kind of that downtrend in Bitcoin, that consolidation period. Um, not it's not hard. I would potentially say that we're gearing up for alt season, but yeah, it's hard to say. People don't know. Are the tariffs going to cancel it? Is there going to be a meme coin super cycle? There's been a few different things people are saying at the moment, but uh, like I said recently, just a few moments ago, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not sure. I'd love an altcoin season. My clients, myself, all of us in Decentralized Masters, we are preparing for this altcoin season. But yeah, we don't have a crystal ball. No one knows, but it may be coming. I have actually someone joining me covering Gimon at the moment. Everyone, welcome Esmail. This is his first appearance on the podcast. Hello, Esmail.
Hello, hello, Tristan. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. But it's
Yeah, happy to
decently
be
on the
here.
market.
Jumped in last minute to help, but yeah, I'll be with you guys for the next 20 to 30.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your role here at Decentralized Masters?
Sure, sure. So, I'm a mentor and recently have been promoted to the product management position. So I'm in charge of creating our products and our services, deploying it, creating different services and products as time pass, and helping expand our offer. And I'm also here to assist and educate people and join certain sessions like this one and many others that we do give. Um, and here I'm with you today to help and talk about the market and what's happening these days in the industry.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess we jump back to what I was talking about. So altcoin season, what is your opinion? Are we going into it? Is it happening? What's the deal?
So, based on what we saw, and this is my personal take, uh, I don't see this bull run as a straightforward alt season as we experienced in 2021, but we will have uh, bulls by narrative. And by that I mean we're going to have specific situations where, okay, we saw AI a couple months ago skyrocketing. Then we had meme coins. Right now, the light is on RWA. So real world assets for the ones who don't know what RWA is. And what's coming next, I don't know. But this is the trend. Well, me and a couple colleagues have been identifying. there's no bull market overall, like what we had in 2021. So as a reminder, 21 to 2021, Bitcoin skyrocketed, and then we had this waterfall effect. The money that went into Bitcoin then went into the bigger alts, so ETH, Solana, Avalanche, and AVAX, the coin, and then into lower market cap coins. And we had a tiny meme season as well. But right now we see Bitcoin skyrocketing, and then one narrative skyrocketing. And either it slows down in this narrative or it tests support levels at a lower price, but it doesn't plummet as well. It stays at a quite healthy position. Whereas
Hmm.
in the previous alt season, we saw, for example, Solana go from 250 to $16, where we see a huge drop. And
Huge.
we're not seeing this. Even with the tariff situation, we saw Solana go from break an all-time high, go to $293, and then go test back the 190, 195 area. And so it did drop, but I'm just saying as, okay, Solana is on sale. And not at, okay, we have to get out of Solana, because it did resist quite a lot. And we saw that with a couple other projects, such as Ondo, Sui. Sui is a big player, I think, for the next few months, if not years. They're very strong. They're building a lot. So yeah, that's kind of my take on the situation. Go with the flow, follow the liquidity, and we are more into what are the solid narratives and the projects which are here to stay. Because as time passes, we have more and more people who are mature in the market and went through
Mhm.
a crypto winter. So when everything was in the red, so
Yeah.
or have a more mature approach about the market, but it also creates more fear. So they don't want to jump in as much as they could have in the past alt season we had. So that's why also these prices will not necessarily skyrocket as they could have back in 2021.
Yeah. We had a bit of an AI season there before real world assets as well. It
Yeah,
didn't last very long. The AI projects are not doing well today, but we did have a little bit of a AI season before that. But I think you're right, definitely. In TradFi, they would call it a stock pickers market. So another saying is all rising tide lifts all boats. Um, this is the opposite of that. Only some boats that have an actual project behind them, that have not vaporware, to use for a lack of a better word. Those kind of the projects that actually have some gumption are the ones that are actually seeing a lot of success at the moment, and you could see that in the crypto bubbles. Like BNB was up, Ondo is doing well, Mantra is doing well. All these tokens that actually have something built behind them are seeming to do a little bit better than the others. Yeah.
totally agree.
I guess one next thing I wanted to kind of go to at the moment is a typical, as you could say, classic crypto argument. We are seeing some weakness in ETH. Uh, However, we're getting some people saying that ETH is currently oversold right now and has the potential to bounce to 3K. ETH has definitely underperformed compared to things like Solana, compared to Bitcoin. Uh, I guess where I'm going with this is, where do you see ETH going, SML, in the next, I guess you could say, next 3 months? Say if there was an altcoin cycle.
So as you mentioned very precisely and very accurately a couple of minutes ago, I do not have a crystal ball. I am not a medium, but um, I think when it comes to ETH, we have to look at it first by taking a couple steps back. And first, we have to look and understand at what a market cap is. For ETH to go significantly up, we need so much more money than any other altcoin to be injected in the asset. And ETH has been resisting also quite well. And it didn't break an all-time high yet. So in my personal opinion, ETH didn't get its season yet.
Hmm.
It went up to 3,400 a couple weeks ago. Now it's back around the 20. It tested 25, went up to 27. And there's so much more. competition in the industry right now as time passes. I was mentioning SWE earlier. To me, SWE is creating a lot of competition for all these big altcoins, all these blue chips that we saw before the rise of the SWE network. Mantra, it's kind of going to be the same way. Optimism, they have a lot of things being built on, even if it doesn't show in the price action yet, but they're cooking a lot of things behind the scenes. So there's all these informations, and adding on top of that, that Ethereum and the whole network, compared to these new players, they don't build fast enough, they don't develop fast enough, but it's because it's a bigger machine. The effort to make ETH better is so much bigger than to create something from scratch and tackle specific issues. And also behind that, there's a big foundation and way more money involved. So it when you talk about ETH, to me, it's almost political. It's not just,
Yeah.
okay, let's create something and improve it or create a new network and start from scratch. There's so much history behind it. Like ETH is 10 years plus now.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's still, if historically, again, if we take a step back, we look at the charts, historically speaking, ETH is a great investment.
Hmm. Absolutely. Like just on my last slide here, ETH was up 68% in 2024. Although yes, that's a little bit not that's less than what you saw in Bitcoin, less than what you saw in Solana. You still, you did double what the S&P 500 did. So if you're comparing it's just what you're comparing your investments to. If you held, ETH instead of the S&P, then you're not doing too bad.
Yeah,
But I guess that's why we at Decentralized Masters we encourage diversification. So we definitely have an allocation to Bitcoin, an allocation to Ethereum, and then other gems that Esmail has mentioned, like Sui, that are fighting or not fighting, but are introducing serious competition to the larger chains.
totally agree. And the other thing is the stock market has surprisingly performed well. Like S&P 25%, that's not something we see every year for the S&P 500 since its beginning. The average is 10 to 15, 15 being a great year. Like, and I emphasize the great, not just a good year, but so that's not something that happens all the time. And that's what crypto does too. When we see these numbers, we just feel like 68 is not that much. But in
Mhm.
terms of an investment in a year, 68% is incredible. It is
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah, like in crypto, it's not uncommon to see 10% to 20% yield on lending for stable coins, or seeing that in a stablecoin liquidity pool. And then when you look at the stock market and you see 7% is the average for the last 20 years or so, then you're
Mhm.
like, what? You're wondering, what if I can make 10 to 20% yield on stable coins? So, one is one US dollar. Well, then what are you doing? What are you doing in the S&P 500? Is the most stable asset, the Warren Buffett favorite index out there? Is that, what's the point? I guess that's why it's so important to, diversify away outside of TradFi a little bit, into crypto, and then diversifying within crypto to create income. So in crypto, in my opinion at least, these stablecoin liquidity pools, these lending pools, they earn you this 10 to 20%. These are your new bonds. These are that allocation to that 40% allocation that in traditional portfolios you would have to fixed income. So that's bonds, money markets, CDs. This is in crypto, in at least in my opinion, where I'm a bit of more of a conservative investor. So you don't find a lot of meme coins in my portfolio, but I do have a serious allocation to stable coins. And that's something that we do teach in the Decentralized Masters course for all of those who are wanting to look at that. Esmail, what do you think is the correct allocation, or I guess depending on the type of investor, but what do you think is a good allocation to stablecoin, or in this context, fixed income?
Yeah, I'll get to that, but I just want to rebound on something you just said that I think is very, very interesting and exciting when it comes to these assets and their performance. Here you covered the performance of the asset itself. And then you mentioned yields you can generate thanks to it. And if we look at ETH, I actually worked on that yesterday to someone. ETH, as you said, 68% in 2024. But the beauty of DeFi is that on top of it, during this year, you don't need to keep that asset just parked in a wallet or sitting on an exchange. You can put it to work in liquidity pools, and you can have ETH pools. So you just park some ETH in these pools and you generate 10% annually on it. So that means you're getting a 10% extra in your position. So in terms of token units that you have, which will also be exposed to this price appreciation. So you're making money on your yield, and your yield is growing at the same time. So you're making money on top of your money. And that's a beautiful thing to me in DeFi. And the other thing is, as you mentioned, parking your money in stablecoin pools. We know it's a risky market. You can lose money sometimes. It can happen. But the beauty of stablecoin pools is that the money you generate in those pools, it's house money. You made that money thanks to your money. You didn't wake up in the morning to work for it. And you can use that to take more risks. So the worst case scenario, you're not losing money out of pocket. You're using potential yield you generated. So the worst case is I'm not making as much as I could have, and that's it. You're not losing money. And back to the allocation, to your question, Tristan, I would give a more conservative one because risk comes with experience and exposure to the market. I think a good starting allocation would, especially if we do DeFi and generate yield and use these different liquidity pools, would be 50% in stablecoins, 25% in different blue chips. So the Bitcoins we mentioned, like Solana, Sui, Avalanche, BNB token, and the rest would be split between Bitcoin and ETH. So 12.5 Bitcoin, 12.5 ETH.
And that's like a new investor kind of portfolio.
The beauty of this allocation is that it can work at any level of someone being in the market in terms of exposure and maturity. It's just you're more conservative when you do this because you still get 25% of your portfolio exposed to the fluctuation of the market, but you're hedging it with 50% in stablecoins, generating between 10 and 25% yield. So just with US dollar turned into the crypto version of it and parked in the pool. So you can consider your savings account, but crypto style. You're making up to 5 times what you would get in a high yield savings account. And the other beautiful component is that, not like your bank, if I go to the counter tomorrow of my bank and I tell the person in front of me, hey, I want to withdraw 20,000 in cash.
You're not getting it.
I'm not getting it, first of all. And to get it, I'll have to file in a lot of paperwork and maybe wait a week or two. And a week or two, I'm being nice. And it will be reported, and I have to answer to so many people. But at the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is get my money, which is mine. I worked for it. And
your money.
DeFi, a transaction of $1 or $1 million is exactly the same process. And I have nobody to give an explanation to. This is my money. I move it wherever I want. And I use it the way I please. And it's just between me and the blockchain. And the blockchain is holistic. It's, okay, you want to do it? Are you sure? Please press yes. If yes, the money moves. That's it.
Sign on your ledger.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But I mean, you even get that in the centralized exchanges because you've seen a lot of people with high net worths on Coinbase getting their accounts locked, and then they having to go through this same lengthy process that they would normally do if they were using their regular bank account. So I believe that centralized exchanges like Coinbase, like Kraken, they still have their purpose. I still think that they're necessary in the crypto ecosystem. I just don't think that you should have all your eggs in one basket, obviously, and then that brings us back to the whole conversation of a diversification. One thing I was going to mention here, it's a good segue here. Let me just share my screen. that Robinhood, the trading platform, they have their earnings actually in 30 minutes. And it's expected that they've had a very successful quarter just based on the volume that has happened, that has been going in and out of the crypto market in the last quarter, 2 quarters. And then they're going to be, potentially having a very good result from that. But you could say the same for Coinbase. So do you think? I guess my question here is: do you think that this volume is going to continue? That Coinbase will be? What kind of role is Coinbase going to play? 1 year, 5 years out in the future here in the crypto ecosystem.
To me, Coinbase is here to stay, and they're very well positioned to stay the number one crypto exchange. Because they have the partnership that you and I are very familiar with, but maybe the people connected are not, which is it's the only place where you can buy the crypto version of US dollar, USDC, free of charge. And you can move it onto the blockchain free of charge as well. So they're the only one offering the option to get involved in crypto with absolutely zero fees. And that's game changer for everybody using US dollar. But this specific partnership they're currently working on deploying it also in Europe with the EURC, which is another crypto version, and C stands for Circle, which is the company partnered with Coinbase to get these crypto free of charge, and they're now trying to leverage different markets all over the world. And to me, the fact that they're trying this with the euro is a big next milestone for them, and a great way for them to become a big player. And the other key component is that it's the only crypto exchange that is publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So it means very, very much audited. They have been looked into by the SEC, the IRS, any official institution you can think about in the US, they have audited them. Because the United States is not until 2 weeks ago, was not a very crypto-friendly country or legislation, but Coinbase still managed to exist and become a publicly traded company where their sole purpose and their sole business is based on crypto. For Robinhood, I'd say they have less worldwide exposure, and most of their money is generated through the stock market exchanges and people buying and selling stocks. So in terms of the crypto segue, I'm not too sure, and less people use it, but they're still good in crypto because it's for many people it's a good step one, like how to get your feet wet. This is where you can buy your first coins, and when you learn more about the ecosystem, you'll step away from Robinhood. But there's less than 1% of the whole planet's population using crypto, so they still have a big room that they can thrive on. But
Absolutely.
as time passes, there'll be more players in the game. There'll be more companies, more exchanges. So it will be very different. And what I'm just saying now is very focused on the US, because I know you're based in Canada. I was in Canada as well, and we have many more options when it comes to exchanges, right? We have much more freedom, and but also in Asia and in Europe, they have many more options when it comes to exchanges. So it's either they adapt and become better than the competition, or they'll keep generating large sums of money on the stock market, but they will not be a big pick for people who are trying to buy crypto. To me, Coinbase is still the number one shop.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely. And if you see that if Robinhood is expected to have really good earnings based on the volumes that we've been having in crypto, then you can expect Coinbase will be 4x that. Coinbase, like Esmail said, is the premier centralized exchange at the moment. That's partly due to, it's vetted. Whereas, Binance and KuCoin, they often make themselves a target for federal regulators, not only in the United States, but across the world. So they often get in the crosshairs. They often get in the naughty zone. And Coinbase is simply not been involved in any of that. So I bring this up because I did recommend Coinbase stock a few videos ago. So if you want to go look through some of our older videos, that you can. I do think Coinbase though will be. I think you may have better returns just buying Bitcoin. That seems to be the most simple thing to do. But if you were choosing not investor advice, I don't have a crystal ball. But I think Coinbase stock would also be a very good hold for the long term, especially since they released their latest program, or I guess you could say project, base protocol, which was a layer 2 on Ethereum. And that has been very successful so far. It's been a hit in crypto. Everyone's using it. It's on most. It's you can get it on most applications. A lot of the decentralized exchanges that we recommend have listed it. Coinbase is really good at seeing the future, just in case centralized exchanges do start becoming less popular, and then more and more money as people become more crypto savvy. Which is expected to happen. Like Esmail said, we only have 1% of the world using crypto right now. Once people get much more savvy, I think people will move to decentralized exchanges over centralized ones. So if Coinbase wants to be a player in the decentralized world, this is their avenue. So that is some incredible foresight by the CEO, Brian Armstrong, in my opinion. In Fed news here, we had the Federal Reserve speaking today, Chairman Powell. Let me just share that. So we had Jerome Powell speak today for the in front of the Congress Banking Committee. It wasn't too exciting. We didn't really have much rate talks. We kind of avoided that, but it was a little bit crypto related because we did have Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming. She is the Bitcoin senator. She's the one that was spearheaded the Bitcoin movement in U.S. Congress. So she was speaking today. From what we got from this is that it's likely that we will not be seeing a CBDC, which is, big rah for everyone in crypto. No one wants to see central bank digital currencies, especially, at least we're not going to get it during this Trump administration. So we got that, but I guess my question to you then, Esmail, is CBDCs probably not the greatest thing, and on top of that, I would say, what is your opinion? Do you think we're going to see CBDCs in the United States or any of the large Western economies? And then I guess I would add on top of that, where do you see rates going come this March? Personally, I think we might be staying flat, but some people are saying rate cuts also.
So for the rates, I'd staying flat because the new wannabe rules from Trump for the tariffs is supposed to pass exactly next month, March 12th. And I don't see the rates move anywhere before we see if the U.S. actually pulls the trigger on this or if they step back. That's where the conversation will be. And I just think it's an attempt of leveraging something else, and we'll see where it goes. So for me, the rates will not move until this situation moves. And in terms of CBDCs, I think it can happen, but not anytime soon. Because that would require so much work and so much effort to create these new digital currencies. And then you have to, legally speaking, make it work, not just for the said country, but for international commerce. If the US create a digital US dollar, first of all, they have to fight, per se, versus USDT and USDC, which are already worth billions and billions of dollars. So how are they going to assess or attack that? Are they going to claim back these coins for themselves? If they do, because that was a lead they're exploring, if they do, everybody will lose trust in crypto version of the US dollar. Because like, okay, at any point you have power over my USDC or my USDT, which is the absolute opposite of why these coins have been created. And this money is already decentralized for most of it. So the simple fact that you want to claim that or go against and create another stable coin, you have to make it look attractive and incentivizing, because otherwise people will just ignore your coin, because that's what comes with DeFi. It's just it's kind of the jungle. You have to be the best. If you're not the best, you're not attracting the money. You're not attracting liquidity. What makes me want to give you my money to get your coin? Because a stable coin, the way it works, I have to give you $1 that you will keep, and you're going to create, and the technical world is mint of one token of it, and that's going to be worth $1. And this is how this said crypto version of the US dollar is backed. It is backed by the actual dollars that you give when you get this coin. And how you claim back your US dollar is by giving back the token. So just putting that into place, that would require multiple years, I believe. So this is something we still need to keep an eye on. But I'd say at this stage and at this place in time, it's not something we should feel threatened by, or we should worry about in terms of, is this a threat? It could potentially be, but for it to become a threat, there's so many obstacles and so many components in the equation that it is just not worth the effort for any kind of official institution.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. The government can, it struggles to operate doing simple things. So to create a central bank digital currency, to control literally, the most important thing in an economy, yeah, it's a little daunting. I don't think even the most tech savvy countries in the world, like the United States, like Singapore, like China, I think they would all struggle a little bit to create this CBDC. And to hijack the existing ones is kind of against the entire narrative of what's happening right now, because just last week they made that stablecoin bill. So they're trying to embrace stable coins. The US is trying to remain continue its dollar supremacy, in which it has a truly, there's a true, as you could say, narrative there. There's a true, uh, there's something there where, US dollar dominance can continue if they embrace the stablecoin rather than trying to fight it. So I think we're actually going to go and not, we're going in the direction of government supporting stablecoin companies like Tether, like Circle, in creating, because they can be an essential asset in creating that U.S. dollar dominance that we still have, but is slowly dying around the world. For example, a lot of, I know I read this in an article not too long ago, but a lot of people in Nigeria are actually getting paid in stablecoin rather than the Nigerian currency. Uh, Probably because typical issues with the currency, lots of inflation, government corruption. So you don't see a lot of you see a lot of young folk like the millennials and Generation Z, people who are born, tech savvy, who are born with the internet, are actually using stable coins, well, US dollar stable coins, as their primary currency. I see that we have a question here from Wilson Wu. Love from Canada. And then thoughts on mantra. Well, mantra. Let me see if I can pull up the chart here.
Yeah, it's OM.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on CoinMarketCap. We're down 5% today. But let me present that. Yeah, down 5%. But I think my opinion at least is Mantra long term, really interesting project. They created something called Estate Protocol, which I've highlighted in a few of my talks before, where they are basically one of the first people to actually tokenize real estate. So they have actual properties that in Dubai, the UAE, where you could buy, a share of a two-bedroom apartment in the Dubai Marina, and then you get to actually, not only do you own a portion of this apartment that's going to fluctuate up and down with the Dubai real estate market is that this apartment is also rented out for yield. So now you also have a 7 to 10% yield on that share of real estate. So they were the first, one of the first people to have actually some real success with this. And the chart has been this year. It's been an absolute outperformer, almost up 200%. And I think we had a member. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ismail, but I think we had a member of our team who called it out around 15, if I was not correct, 15 cents.
Yeah, it's right. It's right. Because the other beautiful thing is, as you said, fundamentals are impeccable. Just the story of the project is great. What they try to offer is amazing, and they have solid funding, very much helped by the location of the project being UAE. And Dubai is trying to become the crypto capital of the world. So they have like local officials vouching for them. So it's not just a group of rogue developers trying to create something brand new. They have the government backing behind it and officials willing to put in money and help this project develop. So it's looking very, very promising.
Yeah, no, it's down 5% today, and probably that might just be because
It's
it's gone
need
up
this
so
healthy
much.
correction. Like it's been up
Yeah.
almost 50% in the past month.
Yeah, it's been still only down 1% in the last 7 days, 50% this month. I remember like during that last flash crash with the tariffs, Mantra was like not hit at all. It just kind of kept going, unbothered. So I
Mm.
guess that really confirms that that real world asset narrative that you were
Yeah.
speaking of earlier.
Yeah.
For those watching and not listening, we have a new person who has joined our call. DeFi John has arrived.
Hey guys, how's it going? What's up, Ismail? How are you doing today,
Hey,
man?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to see you.
Good to see you too as well. How are you doing today, Tristan?
Not bad, not bad. Good day on the market, or average day at least.
Average, yeah, neutral.
Yeah, quite
What
neutral.
anything exciting that you've come across? I know Mantra has been doing very, very well. It seems like this is probably like the only thing that hasn't really been taking a big hit in the market, huh? I believe we talked about it last week when it was in that channel breakout formation and ended up breaking out. So good to see you. Like what's the high between that right now, man? Like everything else is going down and then Mantra just continues to go up.
Well, I think they have just quite a bit of institutional money behind them. So I think this is not confirmed. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know these things, but they must have institutional money of Dubai behind them, since Dubai is looking for their unicorn company. They're looking for, that Dubai company, that UAE company. I think that Mantra could potentially be that. So I think they have a lot of institutional money behind them. But as we said earlier, they have really good fundamentals behind them as well. Everyone is trying to get involved in real world assets. So it's been stable, to say the least.
Was it a big like partnership that was announced, or was it just really that breakout that we saw last week that caused it to go up?
I think it was a breakout. I don't think there was a recent announcement, if I'm
Yeah.
not.
So there's a couple of things, as you said. There's this breakout, and there's like
We can't see your screen if you're sharing it. Are you sharing your screen, Ismail?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
It was just a chart, and it's just information that I have and that I found out too. It's just the Tarif situation. Guess where it's not impacting anything? Dubai real estate. So it didn't touch it. So even if it didn't go, it went up because the project's great and it's their time, but it wouldn't have gone down even if the market was flat and everything was going down and nothing was happening from Mantra. And the other thing is, we're talking about Dubai real estate. And what is that real estate backed by? The local currency, the UAE dirham. And the UAE dirham, if you look at the Forex charts versus the US dollar, it's not moving, or it's steady. It's not going down against the dollar. Even if you look at the past year or two, their local currency is actually on the rise. I know people who used to live in Dubai earning US dollar or euros, and they're telling me between last year and this year, I lost 20% of purchase power because the local currency got so strong, and I'm getting paid in a foreign currency. So it means if you're coming with US dollar, even if the numerical price of the said condo listed on Mantra doesn't move, you have to spend more local currency to get it. So your yield, it will be higher because your yield is based on the local currency as well. So you'll get more dollars just if it keeps going that way. So all these components make it that it's Mantra's time to shine.
Yeah, it's like a perfect chart breakout. I mean, it broke out of this resistance nicely. So it's really good to see that, because I know it was consolidating within this range for quite a long time. I mean, since November, as everything was going up, Mantra was kind of doing the opposite. It was just kind of stagnant, right? It was just consolidating within this period right here. And that's one of the key reminders that I always like to remind everyone in this market, is that try not to get the FOMO, fear of missing out, when you're seeing other projects doing very, very well and you're holding on to an asset. The last thing you want to do, not financial advice, is sell and then chase the other token that's going up, because then you usually have this kind of breakout where like everything was doing very well. If you look at the time frame right here with Mantra, since November all the way leading up to January, it has just been in this consolidation period, just not doing much, going up, going down, getting rejected, as everything else in the market. If you guys remember back in November, as soon as we had the presidential election, literally a lot of the cryptos took off, did a 3, 4, 5x. And Mantra, on the other hand, was a little bit of stagnant right here. And that's not including back that we had back in November 9th, because we did have a nice little swing. So I do want to mention that. Went from $1 all the way up to about $4. So it's not too bad, but I do recall people getting a little bit impatient because everything else was moving and Mantra wasn't. But as just a reminder that there's like mini cycles within a cycle, and sometimes instead of trying to chase a token, you're better off just continue to dollar cost average as long as you believe in the token, because the time will shine. And with Mantra, for example, there wasn't many tokens these last couple days, these weeks. I feel like there's been a lot of negativity in crypto, and now we're seeing this breakout. So it's really nice to see this breakout. What do you guys think the support is going to be for Mantra? Like, is this a new price for Mantra overall? Oh, it looks like it. Well, this is the chart. I'm looking at it through OKX. Do you guys know what its all-time high was overall?
I think the all-time high we got was $6.20, and I'm looking at it on CoinMarketCap, $6.18.
So it's at a new price discovery now, then, basically,
Yes,
right? Wow.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the support is going to hold? Do you think we're going to hold support around this area, or come back down to the $4 range?
Ooh, I'd say probably somewhere in the $4 range. Maybe the previous all-time high bounce on the support, 4.2 kind of range, 4.3. But maybe that's a bit of a draw. But that's where the last support really was for Mantra, wasn't it?
For this kind of breakout, are you guys still continuing to even consider a dollar cost average strategy into this? Like, let's say for the newcomers that are coming in or just noticing Mantra, what kind of approach would you guys take? Seeing that we just had this recent breakout, overall with with this very strong bullish utility, what would you guys say for someone that's coming in brand new and seeing this token for the first time?
I would be okay missing that train. I would use it as education material, and that's part of how crypto is. You have to accept that you cannot jump on every train, and this one is good to keep an eye on, to learn, to see how things go, either good or bad. Because if it goes up, yeah, you'll be sad you didn't invest, but if it goes down, you'll be glad you didn't. And in both cases, you're learning and you get more exposure to the market and you become more mature and less emotional when it comes to investment, because we can easily fall in for these traps where we want to jump in. As Jon mentioned, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to miss out. And sometimes it's even better to miss out. and that way you can get ready for the next project. And if you really like Mantra, it's okay to get your feet wet and invest a bit of money, but do not put a large lump sum. And if you really really like it, use the product. Why not buy shares of a condo in Dubai and earn your yield? Because if you truly believe in the project, the yield is going to come, and it's going to keep coming your way. So that's another approach you can take, especially with these real world asset projects. You don't specifically need to buy the coin. You can invest in the product they have.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
What kind of approach would you take, Tristan?
I'd echo a lot what Esmail said. I know myself. I can be a victim of FOMO sometime. So when I have that FOMO feeling, I would just, I throw maybe $300 at it, $200 at it. Nothing serious, a small, dollar cost average for me. And then I would just, kind of sit on it and kind of watch it. And if it does trend down, that's great. I can, buy a larger position. If it starts trending up, well, maybe I start an actual dollar cost average. But like Esmail said, no way would I be moving a large portion of money in an initial investment in Mantra at the moment. I would check out their Dubai real estate, get involved in the project in other ways. But no, at the moment, I don't find that token very interesting. Just because of the chart setup, not because of the project itself. Victim of success.
Yeah, 100%. Wilson Wu, how's it going? It says, thanks, guys. What about your guys' thoughts on the latest Berachain launch? You guys familiar with Berachain?
Yeah. So they've been incentivizing and promoting an airdrop for more than a year now, and there was many steps and actions you could take to earn points to become eligible to this airdrop. So what happened with this airdrop, on the technical aspect, everything went great. It was a great success for the project itself. They gave away $1.1 billion.
Wow.
But an airdrop being an airdrop, the people who went through certain of these tasks and didn't get selected to receive certain of these coins will always complain and say that this airdrop is a scam. But this is the nature of airdrop. You cannot make everybody happy. And there's a set of rules that the creators of the project decide on, and it's their call. And there's unfortunately nothing we can do about it. And if you look at the chart is completely normal. If you want to look at the chart, John, it's Bera, Bera. So whenever there's an airdrop, most of the people, they sell it because they want to secure the money. They want to secure the earning, and they just cash out. It's payday. And this even happened with another airdrop we had a couple weeks ago, Hyperliquid. So the first week or 2 weeks, you'll just see the price go down because people get their money, they get out, they cash it out. But after that, this is when the dust settles and people look at the actual product and money comes back in if the product is solid and interesting. And this is when we'll see more fluctuation. And right now we're just in price discovery range. We don't know what the price is going to be. They just released at a set price. It was $8.5, if I'm not mistaken, something in that area. Yeah, that's what we see. And right now it's around 5 something. And even it's not even a big drop, in my opinion. For an airdrop that happened less than a week ago, it's a very small fall down of price.
Yeah, it looks right here on the chart for Binance, it looks like it hit about $15 to $16, but this is like a pretty normal thing when it comes to airdrops. One thing that I've also wanted to add on to what just Esmail mentioned is with airdrops, this is a very common behavior. We saw the same thing happen with Jupiter on their first initial airdrop that they had. If you actually go ahead and see this right here, as soon as they went ahead and launched, they went ahead and dropped. I think it was a little bit over 50%. I'm looking at this chart right here on Dex Tools, but you could go ahead and see that retracement a little bit over 40, depending on where you consider. I think it might have even gone higher depending on where you're viewing it. But this is a pretty common thing with airdrops. You got to keep in mind that with airdrops, people are getting basically free money. So the first thing they're going to go ahead and do is just literally cash it out and buy their favorite cryptos. For the most part, most people don't hold on to their airdrops. There is very few people that, love the project like so much, but even those that love them, they'll go ahead and sell it, always wait for a re-entry, or even just go ahead and diversify those funds. Because keep in mind, imagine you're buying into a project, you get airdropped a couple grand. Like I know Jupiter, I heard, was a pretty big one, but I think Hyperliquid might have been the biggest one so far that we've had. But I know Jupiter, there's people that were getting over 100,000 of like basically free money to them. So obviously that's going to go ahead and cause a lot of selling pressure, right? But as you see, after every time it does come up with some sort of correction after it sells, which is really, really normal, then we saw Jupiter just come out of here and then just make a new enter new price discovery and set up a new high. So this is a pretty common thing that we see with airdrops. So it's not always like a bearish thing. Like for me personally, that's one thing I don't like to trade too much, is like airdrops and pre-sales. I usually try to be a little bit patient when it comes to those, because if you're very positive about a project, you usually want to go ahead and wait for the negativity to kind of die down, because people start to panic when you start to see these corrections, even though it's a necessary thing, right? And it looks like right now, even looking at this chart, it looks like buying pressure is now gearing up. But definitely agree with that. Have you guys dabbled into Barochain? I was actually looking into that a few weeks ago. I didn't really do much.
No, I haven't. No, not yet. But I was just going to add real quick here that in traditional finance, this is a similar, airdrops are a little bit similar to IPOs. So when a big stock goes and does its initial public offering, goes and gets listed on the stock market for the first time, does a similar chart, lots of hype, lots of momentum right off the bat, but then it sells off, and then it sells off for quite a bit longer until it reaches a bottom, and then the institutional money comes in again, and then people start to get into it again. So it's a common theme. You're going to see this for IPOs and airdrops. Esmail, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I did try to get this airdrop. I have to be honest. I tried a few months ago, but and now I understand why. When I see they gave, because like it's basically them offering for free $1.1 billion. Now I understand why the tasks they were requiring were not fun. It was actually, if I have to be fully honest, it was quite annoying to get elected for this airdrop. And it was very demanding in time, and you had to connect every day to do certain things if you wanted to be eligible. So I just gave up on it. But there was a lot of attraction, a lot of momentum, and people who stuck to it, they got a big payday. So congrats to them. They've been resilient more than me, and it paid off.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those days where you had to grind for a whitelist spot for the NFTs. I'm not sure if any of you guys ever sat on Discord. I remember when I was, trying to get a whitelist into NFTs last cycle, I'd literally, some of them would make you like literally be on chat almost 24/7, like just chatting and being active in the community. I remember sitting there for hours, like just typing, talking to people, meeting people virtually on Discord, just in hopes of getting a whitelist spot for an NFT. It reminds me of those days. But back to what you were saying, Tristan, how you mentioned about like the same thing with IPOs. I just kind of wanted to share this chart right here. And this is the Airbnb chart when Airbnb actually went ahead and went live. Back at around 2021, you see that it went as high as $221, and then Airbnb went ahead and corrected from $222 all the way down to about $84, which was about a 63% retracement, depending on where you're looking at the chart from. But this is just a reminder that this is a pretty common thing also in the traditional market, as Tristan says. Blake says, "Hey Blake, how's it going, man? Love it, guys." And he says, "What a chart." I agree. Awesome. Did you guys take a look at the Bitcoin chart or anything? You guys do a quick little rundown on the market?
I did a quick little analysis of the Bitcoin chart when we started. but nowhere near as the beautiful technical analysis that you can do, John.
We'll go ahead and do something very quickly right now. Is there anything you want me to check out, Ismail, specifically into the
all
market,
good.
or anything you have to add?
I'm actually gonna go.
Okay.
Covering for John today, guys, and
Yeah.
I have something up right after this. But it was a pleasure participating in this. Thank you for having me today, and wish you all a good rest of your session. You people are in good hands with Jon and Tristan.
I appreciate you, Ismail. You have a good one, man.
Thank you, Ismail. Thank you.
Yeah, Ismail came in clutch, guys. I was out of town, got stuck in traffic, so I didn't make it in time as I thought I would. I am in California, so you can just imagine California traffic. So not too well. I was like hitting up Tristan. I was like, hey man, almost there. And it just like traffic towards the end. I was like, man, California is packed with traffic. I didn't realize that, but that's what you get when you live in a pretty big state. But let's go ahead and do a quick little rundown, Tristan, on Bitcoin. I kind of want to go ahead and see your input into this. And see where the market's going. I mean, just taking a look overall, the market seems a little bit neutral to me. I know there's been a lot of positive and negative news all across crypto right now. But as we're taking a look at crypto bubbles right now, I would consider this a little bit more of a neutral. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of green, a little bit of red, but nothing too bad to panic about or be too excited about. But one thing I do want to go ahead and take a look at is Bitcoin. The way it's been reacting from last time that we talked about, we were expecting to see some sort of breakout leading towards, I believe, over $103,000. If I can recall correctly, I was hoping for some sort of move where the market would just go ahead and come back down to around the $103,000 or even $99,000 and then bounce back up and then start entering a new price discovery once again. But we talked about a possibility of that not happening, and that's exactly what actually happened. But I know there's been a lot of panic with Bitcoin, and I've been mentioning that realistically Bitcoin could go as low as $87,000. And it won't be really too much of a problem. We obviously do not want to go ahead and see it close below that, because if we do see Bitcoin start getting rejected at around the $87,000, and we could be expecting Bitcoin to come back down even lower. Now, I don't think this is going to be the case, but this is something to always consider. But looking at the chart right now, we do see that there has been some sort of consolidation forming right here. We've been seeing a lot of action in between this $96,000. And if I could recall correctly, when I went ahead and did my chart analysis a few days ago, I believe this is where a lot of action is, right here at the zone. Yep. As you see, we just use our fixed range volume indicator, which indicates where a lot of volume, which we could basically use as resistance or a lot of selling pressure, right? So we do see that there's a lot of resistance at around the zone for Bitcoin at around $106,000. So what I do want to go ahead and see in the market is I want to see it continue to hold these ranges. I definitely do not want to see Bitcoin start to lose its support, especially considering the fact that we've been holding this range for about almost a week. What I do want to go ahead and see, I do want to see Bitcoin probably consolidate here for a while. Wouldn't be surprised as we start gaining that momentum back once again into the market. And once we do have this breakout between $103,000 and start approaching that 104, this is where we will now basically consider the bottom for Bitcoin at around this $95,000. So like, this is what I'm hoping for the market to do in the next coming days. The sooner the better. But basically, in other terms, for those that might be, hey, John, what does this even mean? Basically, just expect a lot of sideways into the market, sideways action. The altcoins maybe not doing much. I've been seeing altcoins not really get hit too much. Like, I feel like most of the selling pressure we had was from 2 weeks ago. Even the meme coins have already sold off a lot. So meme coins are always going to be super risk on assets. So I always advertise, stay away from those if you don't have that kind of level when it comes to risk, because those do get hit the most. But during this time in the market, this is where a lot of people will start to get desperate, get discouraged in the market, start questioning themselves before there's a massive move. Usually, I would say, in my opinion, would be a move to the upside. But that that's what usually signals when we start seeing these kind of market conditions where we really don't see much action going on. It's more sideways, even with positive and negative news. I believe I've been seeing a few positive news with other cryptocurrencies, and that really hasn't really moved the market. I think right now we might be in that stage where people are kind of losing hope of the market. I mean, we got to always zoom out once again, as I always mention. Uh, where Bitcoin currently is at right now in the market. We've done a lot of big things, and Bitcoin realistically is in the positive sense back in September, where we could actually even say back in August, where Bitcoin bottomed out at $49,000. And as you saw, we had one last big wipe down before we saw that new price discovery enter into the market. So don't get discouraged, especially if you're brand new into the market. You just happen to be in a time where the market experienced a massive, not only a price discovery, but a lot of excitement into the market. And you might have started entering the market as the excitement was brewing. So right now, don't get discouraged. So far right now, the market's looking good. Looking at the chart right now is what's telling us. All across the board, it looks like the stock market kind of closed neutral today. Before I do go ahead and take a look at what the stock market did today, because I haven't taken a look, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Ethereum, and then we'll go ahead and move on forward with that. But before I do that, I want to get Tristan's input on this. Where do you think things will be going for Bitcoin? Do you think we're going to see some sort of boring sideways action in the market for a while, or do you expect a massive move very soon?
Well, I've said this before in the podcast. I am once bitten, twice shy, meaning I've gone through two bear markets. So I am always thinking about the bear market, but I don't see it here. That's the good news. I even in a skeptical view, I don't seeing us really breaking down. Perhaps if we go below the 89,000, 87,000 kind of range, then maybe watch out below. But at the moment, I think we're in a strong consolidation phase. The fundamentals in the market right now, just although they can always look rosy, things always look good, but there's things genuinely look good now. You have many states across the United States trying to front run getting that Bitcoin reserve in front of Trump. So the individual states are trying to get Bitcoin. The actual federal government of the United States could be putting Bitcoin on their sovereign wealth fund balance sheet. They might be creating a Bitcoin reserve. There has been talks about all these things. They're putting in place real regulations to get stable coins more officialized, more to use the utility of them, as we mentioned earlier in the pod. So I think we're on a very strong fundamental stage right now, but we're definitely consolidating. The market has to push sideways before we either break up or break down at the moment.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I wanted to ask you, I came across this post, sorry. Let's see. It was something, I'm trying to quickly check if this is the correct post, but maybe it was in regards to the Fed speaking on about crypto. I believe the article might have been released 2-3 days ago, or maybe less than that. And they were talking about how we're kind of like in a very tough place with regulation, and how that could potentially, they're afraid that could potentially go ahead and hurt the U.S. banks, and people will look for a solution as to cryptocurrencies to go away from the banks. What obviously I would assume you would think that's positive, because I mean, I think we're all here in crypto for that main reason. But did you see any reaction to the market, and did you even see that post? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I believe I just read that earlier today, this morning, if I'm not mistaken.
I may have seen the post that you're talking about, and I did watch the Fed Chair Jerome Powell speak in front of Congress, actually the Senate Banking Committee today. So he was speaking to senators like Senator Loomis from Wyoming, who is the Bitcoin senator. So should I be worried? Should U.S. banks be worried about crypto? Yeah, in the long term, I don't think that anyone's going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, in the long term, the U.S. banks should definitely consider being at least custodians of crypto, because of course there's going to be people out there who don't want to be control of their own wallet, and that is perfectly okay. Some people would just rather trust an institution like Coinbase or what is a US bank, like Chase Bank or JP Morgan. My opinion is that the traditional US banks will, in the long run, so 10 15 years from now, will look a little bit more like Coinbase kind of businesses.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you on that. I was just really interested. I think this is an article that I was talking about. Fed Powell says he's also worried about deep banking that strained U.S. crypto. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I was expecting some sort of market volatility, but honestly, this market, I mean, we're already into what is this already? Today's Tuesday, so I don't know. Maybe the week ends very strong, but I do definitely agree with you. I think even now, if you were to tell me, I think we're already experiencing some sort of digital currency in all of our in our ecosystem overall globally, right? We have credit cards. Now we also have USDC, which is basically the digital dollar. So I mean, who knows the way it's going to come out. But it's really interesting to see where things go. But let's take a look at the NASDAQ and see how that closed today. So we see the NASDAQ, a little bit of strength today. And you may ask, why are we taking a look at the NASDAQ, John? Well, the NASDAQ kind of moves in somewhat of correlation with cryptocurrencies whenever it decides to, because there's times it doesn't, there's times it does. But as we're seeing right now with the NASDAQ, we are seeing a little bit of more of a neutral stance in the market. But we could be seeing some sort of breakout too for the stock market. So I do think new highs will be possibly entering very soon for the stock market as well, which would mean that we should be seeing some sort of little run with Bitcoin as well. So we'll see where things go there. But besides that, one of the biggest things I want to talk about is Ethereum, because I think a lot of people have a little bit of concerns with Ethereum. We just basically had one of the biggest, largest flash crashes that we had back in, I think it was last week, right?
Yeah, last weekend.
Last weekend, pretty big. We weren't expecting. We actually saw Ethereum go as low as $2,100, quickly recover. And as we talked about, this is really interesting because I believe Tristan and I were talking about this last week about how we mentioned usually huge, massive liquidations happen before a massive move, usually to the upside. And that's exactly what we saw last week. We actually saw a lot of the altcoins have a massive liquidation event all across the board. I can't remember exactly how much money got liquidated, but I think it was in the billions. They said that some exchanges weren't fully reporting accurately what was the liquidations, but it was probably one of the largest liquidation events we've ever had. And that's one of the biggest things that we mentioned about how greed during these times in the market, all it takes is one little move of the market to go ahead and push it either to the upside or to the downside and fully over exaggerate some sort of liquidation event or even price action in an asset class. And we saw that with Ethereum. When we were talking about, Ethereum was holding up pretty well between this $2,700, even $2,800 range. And then next thing you know, over that weekend, we saw the liquidation event from $2,800 going as low as 21. And obviously during these kind of events, for all those that might not know, these events get bought out very, very quickly. Whales are ready for these events. There's a lot of buy orders set up and ready to go ahead and purchase this. So when it does happen and people get liquidated, they quickly go ahead and take advantage of that. So it quickly got from as low as $2,100 and then ran up, and then quickly now we are back at around $2,700. Even though with all that being said, and we still do see that Ethereum is in a downtrend. We do see a lot of strong support with Ethereum at around this $2,300 range. And I'm going to be completely honest. I wasn't expecting Ethereum to go this low. I really wasn't. I thought the lowest would have been like 26, which is where we're at right now. or even around $2,800. But the fact that we went as low as $2,100, broke support very quickly and came back up, it's really interesting to see where Ethereum is going to be going. But we're also seeing Ethereum still in a downtrend. What are your thoughts with Ethereum, Tristan? Does this bring up any kind of alerts, or are you kind of looking at Ethereum the same way with the whole entire liquidation event we had? Because I know people like to bash on Ethereum, especially during times like this in the market when everything's getting hit. Are you concerned with what we're seeing with Ethereum? Because usually Ethereum signals this massive altcoin season as we start getting the dominance. But I've been saying I think there's other asset classes such as Solana now that kind of shows a strength of an altcoin season as opposed to what we've been seeing in prior cycles, which have been Ethereum.
Yeah. So it's no secret that I love to bash Ethereum on the podcast. And I've bashed Ethereum a few times on our Thursday shows. I do believe that 2 to 5 years from now we could see Solana overtake Ethereum. But at this particular moment, I put my bias aside, and I say that Ethereum is an interesting opportunity at the moment, because even me, an Ethereum skeptic, looks like there seems to be a bit of an opportunity at the moment. I before you hopped on, I even pulled up an article. One of the analysts from the big banks said that Ethereum was approaching oversold levels, and that a rebound to 3K was that was totally possible. So that would be a nice 13% gain potentially if that happened.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I was saying that $2,100 on Ethereum would definitely be some good areas to consider buying. So it'd be a good buying opportunity. I think, to be completely honest, I think we're probably, I think moving forward, the way we measure the cycles, especially with altcoin season, altcoin dominance, if you want to call it, we're probably going to be, it's no longer probably going to be Ethereum that's going to be showing us that that in the charts anymore. Just Ethereum has been lacking a lot. Some altcoins have been doing well, not all of them, but one of the biggest things, like, I would agree with you on that I do believe that $2,100 and even right now $2,600 is still a pretty good buy. And I could imagine that a lot of the NFTs probably also took a hit. And I was just talking about the NFTs not that long ago. It looks like Mike. How's it going, Mike? Good to see you, man. Yo, what, Tristan and John, how are you doing, man? Love from Minnesota. Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you. If you have anything that you want us to take a look at, Mike, any kind of charts, any project, any questions, feel free to comment down below. Mike is a member with us at Decentralized Master, so it's good to see Mike here. Appreciate you.
Mike is always joining my classes. Yeah, he's a good guy.
This is Ethereum that we're currently looking at right now. We're looking at Ethereum's chart. I was actually pretty, I wouldn't say impressed, I would say surprised that Ethereum went this low. But what I do see very interesting though, and this is one thing that I kind of wanted, just kind of entertain a little bit, and then we'll move on with the subject, is this cycle we also have a lot of layer twos. Like we have, Arbitrum, we have Base that have been doing very well, and surprisingly Ethereum hasn't been reacting that much. But it was actually funny because I just saw a post on Twitter, I think it was today, and we saw Ethereum gas fees as low as 4 cents. Like, that was insane. I remember doing a transfer recently, like 2-3 days ago, and it was in the cents range. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like we haven't seen these prices in Ethereum for a while. Like, seeing them in around 10 cents, 20 cents. It even got to a point the last month and a half ago where Ethereum was, gas fees were like $10 to $15 just to make a transfer. So it's pretty interesting to see that. But what are your thoughts with the layer twos? Are you positive with any of the layer twos besides Ethereum? Because I'm like, even though Ethereum on its own, I wouldn't say it's like the best thing. I mean, we all know that Ethereum, the biggest thing that's not making the move forward is really the gas fees and a few other things within the community. But besides that, I would say now we do have also layer twos, and Arbitrum and Base are pretty good. They're also offering a lot of good yields in DeFi. So what are your thoughts with that with Ethereum? Do you think Ethereum would be still the leading factor when it comes to DeFi, at least, even if it's no longer like the leading altcoin in the charts or in the market to kind of identify that kind of dominance in altcoins? What do you think? Because there has been a lot of growth coming from the layer twos, and it's solely from DeFi. It's not really anything else. It's really just DeFi pools, staking, lending, borrowing. They've been giving out some really good incentives.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The layer twos have been going gangbusters. They are making tons of money right now. So Base is doing very well. Arbitrum's doing well. Even things like Polygon, they're doing very well. So all these layer twos on Ethereum are doing phenomenal. But I think that is also part of the reason why we're seeing this chart right now, is because they're kind of sucking the life out of Ethereum. Which is it's interesting to see. But no, I'm quite bullish, especially on Base. I spoke about Coinbase a little bit earlier. I think the leadership of Coinbase, the leadership of Brian Armstrong, he was able to see the future, which is potentially more decentralized. So less people will be moving away from Coinbase if people become more crypto savvy. If in that case scenario, that would be detrimental to the Coinbase business. So they went ahead and created Base, the L2 on Ethereum, just so they have another player in the race as we go with this more decentralized route. And Base has terrific offerings right now. Aerodrome on Base is also a really good exchange. And we're just seeing the start. We're just seeing the start, really. So I'm very bull. We're not getting away from Ethereum. It's going to stick with us. I think it is. It's not going anywhere. Solana may overtake it, in 5 years. But I don't see Ethereum going anywhere. Ethereum in 2024, I shared this earlier, but it was up 68% over the entire year to date 2024. Bitcoin was up 137%. Solana was up 160%, I think, and the S&P 500 was up 24%. So you're still getting almost triple the S&P 500. Through investing in Ethereum. But I guess that's kind of why we recommend diversification in our course and for our members. So if you did have a bit of Ethereum, which we would suggest, you would also have a little bit of Bitcoin. So you would have upside on both ends.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you mentioned Aerodrome. With Aerodrome, and the reason why there's been kind of a little bit of this scarce in the market with Ethereum, the way Ethereum has been moving, is because Ethereum has always been like the leading indicator for altcoin season. A lot of people believe that we are not in altcoin season. I believe we've been in altcoin season since early November. I mean, it's in the charts. I don't know what else you could really go ahead and say. I mean, even seeing this right here with Aerodrome, we can see that Aerodrome really started to take off in early October, November, but really started to pick up in strength at around September, which is a very typical thing for altcoins to do. Literally in the last few cycles, they always run up between September, October, November for whatever reason. So, and that usually, from what I've noticed, altcoin season usually goes on for about 6 to 8 months, depending on what you're looking at, what asset, because some assets, as you're seeing right now with Mantra, are just now entering a new other price discovery as other asset classes, such as Aerodrome right now, they're actually witnessing a little bit more selling pressure. And if you notice, it's kind of almost following the chart with Ethereum a bit. So this is kind of where Ethereum still does hold a lot of dominance with a lot of the altcoins. Unfortunately, we have unfortunately and fortunately, I would say, we have been seeing a lot of more layer ones, which I think that kind of has been, moving the noise into those hotter chains for the moment. And that's what has been causing a lot of selling pressure for asset classes such as Ethereum. This is the reason why we're seeing tokens such as Aerodrome right now witnessing a little bit more of a selling pressure. But just like Tristan mentioned, this is Base's decentralized exchange, their DEX. So if you are bullish on the base chain, being exposed to Aerodrome is a good way to have that exposure. But what I do definitely want to go ahead and see for a lot of these altcoins, I want to go ahead and see how these levels hold up. I'm really curious to see if we could be seeing some sort of breakout in the next coming months. I mean, to be completely honest, believe it or not, guys, the way the market's looking right now at the moment, the market is almost going according to how it always has been. You know, altcoins run up very well. They retrace 50, 60, 80%. They have a lot of negative press. Bitcoin's in a sideways action. Bitcoin runs up one last time, if you want to call it, corrects. Then we usually have altcoins do their last final thing, not their final rally, but I think we're going to be going into 2026, this market, in my opinion. And if that's the case, then that would mean, you know, Bitcoin could probably be having its run very soon, believe it or not. And what I mean by soon, it could be in a few months. Just
Yeah.
ahead, it could be in a few months. It could be a few weeks of just like nothing, and then out of nowhere, Bitcoin, as you usually always see, just have this massive breakout. And then I think altcoins will go ahead and follow through. So realistically speaking, believe it or not, the market has not been doing anything abnormal. And that's kind of the reason why I'm not scared of what we're seeing with the market. And I'm sure Tristan is as well, because believe it or not, the market hasn't really changed from prior markets. Like, yes, we have some layer ones leading, but this is a typical thing. We saw this with Binance Smart Chain last cycle. Now we're seeing it with Solana. You know, Solana was once a hated token, and now the narrative has changed. You know, like Solana was always looked at as a meme coin, because that's really where they grew. They grew off of NFTs and then made the pivot into meme coins, and meme coins is what got them their success. But Solana didn't have the respect. It was all Ethereum at one point, and it lost that, and now it's Ethereum lost that, and now it's Solana. So we're always going to be seeing these narratives change. But we're seeing right here, Mike, he said, what are your thoughts on AVAX/Avalanche? I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tristan, and then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the charts. But what are your thoughts about AVAX, Tristan?
AVAX is another L2, so it's on Ethereum, so it's living in that same ecosystem as Base, living in the same ecosystem as Arbitrum. So I think it will be, this is the case of a rising tide will lift all boats. So all those L2s on Ethereum right now, they are sucking the life out of Ethereum. And I think AVAX is one of those vampires per se. So far, I prefer my choice in an L2 would be Base. I'd be more interested in buying Base than using or buying Aerodrome. However, AVAX would probably be a good option as well, just because it's in that same layer 2 space. Because the market still is built on Ethereum. Like, we're still 55%. I believe the crypto market is still 55% built on the Ethereum network. So obviously we're not going anywhere yet. But yeah, no, I'm a fan of AVAX. I don't think you could go wrong. Not financial advice, but
yeah, I agree with you. And I like your take on this, that even though, you know, you're a little bit shaky with Ethereum, you're you know the actual facts. Like, you know what I mean? Ethereum does have a huge dominance in the market, and that's the reason why a lot of these tokens lead together as a pack. And that's the reason why there's a lot of importance and a lot of concerns with Ethereum. So even though you might be cheering on for Ethereum to not do well and collapse, you're almost cheering on for the rest of your altcoins to do the same, because a lot of these altcoins rely on Ethereum's strength. And this is the reason why we've been seeing a lot of these altcoins take a hit along with it. Now with AVAX I think is a very unique position. I think, in my opinion, AVAX is really undervalued. And the reason why I say that is because AVAX is actually pushing multiple narratives. They're actually pushing the gaming narrative. They're actually also pushing the real world asset narrative. And with gaming, you could actually see one of their biggest games. I can't remember what it's called. You would have to just search it up, AVAX games. Do you recall, Tristan? Do you know their massive game?
No. But I was doing some research just the other day. Was it XAI? XAA, yeah, XAI perhaps, like AVAX? Was that
No,
Arbitrum?
there's a pretty. It's called Off the Grid. So Off the Grid is a game that's pretty popular. It's actually running on Avalanche's ecosystem, and it introduces NFTs. And they actually have had some pretty big streamers like Ninja that once streamed one of the most very popular games called Fortnite. This guy was making millions. He was sponsored by Red Bull and things like that. So like to have him stream a game like this, it's pretty big, right? So it's kind of a very similar kind of like Call of Duty, if any of you have ever played Call of Duty or are into video games or not. But it's we could just call it kind of like a war game. And the thing that's really interesting is that it is a play to earn, and they are not only on computers, but they're also, you could actually go ahead and find the game on Xbox and PlayStation. So I think that's a really good way to introduce blockchain technology and play to earn in a very typical console without having to know much about blockchain, you know? So that's why I think that this game Off the Grid, you guys can go ahead and check it out. I've played it. It's more of a battle royale. So you get launched, you're in like this big open world. Not, I wouldn't say open world, but closed open world. Very similar to Fortnite, actually. If you ever play Fortnite, it's very similar. But as I mentioned, it's a little bit more like mixed with Fortnite with a little bit of Call of Duty. But the fact that they're able to do this into, a platform like Xbox and PlayStation, I think it's a pretty big thing because, it's not really doing, like, you don't have to know about crypto to be able to play this game. As you see, you could go ahead and play this right now on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So that's a pretty big thing. So that's why I think, in my opinion, Avalanche is pretty undervalued in that sense. Also, as well, too, Avalanche is actually running in the real world asset side of things too. They went ahead and actually started working with the DMV of California to go ahead and digitize 42 million card titles on the Avalanche network. So that's pretty big. This was back in July, as you see the article published. And these are the kind of news you're not going to go ahead and see being pushed very, very heavily. As you see right here, it talks a little bit more about real world assets and what the DMV is trying to implement into their system and how this is going to be very useful. So this is another user case that you can see where blockchain could actually go ahead and help an everyday kind of person without even knowing what a meme coin or what Bitcoin is, right? We'll get to the point where you won't even realize they're using blockchain technology because I wouldn't say there's no huge difference, but for the most part, they're going to be able to run this smoothly without you really even realizing that blockchain is being used. And that's where I think, in my opinion, like, I think that's pretty big. I mean, keep in mind, California is a pretty big state. Not saying the biggest, but when it comes to money wise and how much the state of California collects and how many people they have living, it's a pretty big state. They said once that California could be its own country of how much money they go ahead and bring in for the US.
Fourth largest economy, I think. If California was a country, I think it was the fourth largest economy. So I think it's just behind like China, Germany, and Japan, and then it would have been California.
Yeah, so this is pretty big. If they could successfully do this in California, think about it. You don't think the rest of the states will go ahead and do this? I mean, if it's going to make it easier for them, why not, right? And that's the reason why I think this is a pretty big thing. So I think the fact that Avalanche runs within the real world asset narrative and gaming is something that a lot of people are not considering. And I think they might just be a little bit more into getting distracted by the shiny object because, let's be honest, AVAX hasn't really done anything too crazy. And especially right now with these kind of market movements, a lot of people start to get scared seeing AVAX at around this $20 to $21 range. But keep in mind, AVAX at one point in the market last cycle was as high as $145. And if real world asset is the narrative this cycle, as we're seeing with Ondo, Mantra, this is technology that's being used right now, not tomorrow, not in the future, not in 40 years. That is technology that is being worked on at the moment, but obviously mainstream media is not going to push this. Why? You're going to know about it once maybe Avalanche is at these levels. You're going to start hearing the articles about the DMV, about the game, because that's usually how things are. So I would have considered taking a look at this. It looks like Mike went ahead and had a comment. He said, cool. Oh, that's encouraging. Wow, there's a lot going on. Real world assets and gaming sounds solid. I agree 100%.
I agree.
What are your thoughts about this, Tristan? Did you know that they were working within the real world asset narrative in gaming?
No, I wasn't really aware that AVAX was in gaming. I'd heard a little bit about it being in real world assets, but not gaming. So that was news to me. But I heard about Arbitrum had their gaming branch. I was writing an article about it just the other day. And it just makes me go down memory lane here, like in crypto gaming. Did you ever play Axie Infinity, John?
I didn't, man. I
No.
didn't. I missed out on that one, but that's the
Yeah.
reason why. That's one of the main reasons why I was always open minded to gaming and crypto, because I know there's a lot of money to be made. But why don't you go ahead and touch on a little bit more of the subject on that
Absolutely.
game, so people could go ahead and kind of get an idea of what we're talking about and why. I'm a gamer. I'm not too crazy into gaming like I used to, but kind of go ahead and touch into a point why gaming became such a big thing. Even that last cycle, Facebook went ahead and changed their name to Meta, not specifically
Yeah.
for gaming, but for the virtual world of the metaverse.
Yeah. No, it was yeah, last cycle that was an exciting time. The gaming hasn't it hasn't had the same kind of results in this cycle. It's kind of taken the back seat to real world assets. It's taken the back seat to AI and meme coins. But back in the day, last cycle, gaming was one of the hot topics. And the hottest game in Web3, or the hottest game in crypto, was this game called Axie Infinity. It was like little monsters that battled on a Pokemon style kind of arena, and it didn't really take off hugely in North America, but this thing like encapsulated the Philippines. Like this game, every single person in the Philippines was playing this game, but that's because you could earn crypto from it. You could earn their Axie token, which I think is AXIE.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah. This is
yeah,
actually showing a little image right here of what the game would look like. It looks something like Pokemon, if any of you guys are familiar with that. But if not, it's basically kind of like some sort of cartoonish animations of just figures having these sort of attacks, kind of like a card game, if you would call it.
And they like one way you would make crypto from this is so you'd have your little characters, and I think they cost money or they cost axes to buy. But if once you had these characters, you could rent out these characters to people who didn't have them. So as you had these characters rented out, you could rent them to someone who didn't have the character. They would pay you yield, and every time they would win, they would earn a little bit, and they would have to pay you back. So you had these gaming guilds in the Philippines. You had like businesses being built on top of Axie Infinity of people renting out these Axies. And obviously, things like that don't last forever, unfortunately. That it created quite the bubble, as you can see in that chart. But it got to such an extreme level that like the actual government of the Philippines had to go in and say, okay, earning money via Axie is now being that fell under their income tax. It was
Really?
it was such a massive driver in their economy that they actually put it as something that would be taxable income. Lots of people did take out loans to buy Axies in the Philippines. And unfortunately, when it gets to that level, when people are taking out leverage to make this internet money, unfortunately, when the bubble does burst, it does hurt a lot of people. But you see these play to earn games become very successful in countries like the Philippines, like Vietnam, like Southeast Asia, Latin America, Africa, where if we earn 10 cents as us as Canadians and Americans, it's not a huge deal to us. Even in Canada, with our Canadian dollar being falling terribly, 10 cents is still nothing. But in Venezuela or in the Philippines and Vietnam, 10 cents an hour American, it's not too bad compared to what they would have gotten from doing a regular job. So, and especially if you're not moving, you're just playing a video game. So these
Yeah.
kind of games, they always hit critical mass in these kind of countries quite easily.
Yeah, and there a lot of people were making like a lot of money. I mean, people were making thousands of dollars a day. So a lot of these people were not getting paid. Just a clarification, 10 cents on for those thinking that they were getting paid 10 cents for the game. Like they were probably making like $10, $20 an hour, even that, which to an economy like that's a lot of money. If you add it up, like they were really making a lot of money. Even the people that were, like Tristan mentioned, they were renting out basically these characters, and these characters would go for thousands of dollars. $5,000, $10,000, 20,000, and these characters would definitely go ahead and play a role when it came to how much money you would earn. So there is a huge value behind it. And as you see right now with Axel Infinity, at one time, as that bubble was going up, just like anything, it always has to come down. But this thing went as high as over $150 from its bottom being lower than $4. Right now, it's actually at a support. So it went actually as low 4 years ago down to its low as was about 12 cents. So from 12 cents to $150, you can imagine a lot of people made money both ways. The people that were in those other countries now having a job. Yes, it might sound crazy playing a video game, but that's kind of the reality of the world that we live in today. We live in this virtual world that, and that's the beauty about crypto that I always want to mention too, that there's opportunities for all of us. You might not be into gaming, but I'm sure and positive that you would definitely be interested into making money. So if you do not want to play the games, what people were doing is that they were buying these characters, these lands, and then they were renting it out, as Tristan mentioned. And now other people had the opportunities to make money and make even a living for their family. So it's pretty crazy how, as they say, magic internet money, but it really is.
It really is.
And this is why, play to earn was a massive thing. Now, I do think it will come back this cycle. It's just a matter of when. But just like Tristan mentioned, there's always going to be a new shiny object around the corner every cycle. It's a typical thing. Right now, we're having it taken over by AI, real world assets. But back in last cycle, gaming was like AI. Like if you remember the talk, like it was like, oh, this is going to be revolutionary. This is going to be big. As I mentioned, you had Facebook change their name to Meta. And they were talking about how they were going to do this with the metaverse and virtual gear and virtual land. And one of the biggest things that I've learned from my mentors is that they mentioned you never want to be first at a trend. You never want to be first and you never want to be last. You want to be the one in the middle and start to take off with the trend as opposed to taking on the initial big risk, because you take on the big initial risk, chances are that it might not even be a trend that's going to do very well, right? And that's where you could lose a lot of money. And you definitely do not want to be late to the party, because if you're late to the party, you're going all the way down with it, right? So the thing is, basically with gaming, I think that what happened with Meta, they were way too early for the game. They were way too early to the party. I think now this cycle, we can start seeing a little bit more talks about the metaverse. The reason why the metaverse was such a big thing was because of the pandemic. But now you're starting to see a lot of these even real world asset kind of things being implemented into our everyday life. Like I remember where virtual reality and augmented reality, which is different kind of technologies, was a huge talk last cycle. And now you could go down to your, if you shop at Nordstrom or any kind of store, or maybe like a glasses store or things like that for sunshades or whatever the case is, you could virtually try these items without actually putting them on. And you could even use this technology in Amazon. Like on Amazon, if you want to get a couch, you could go ahead and use augmented reality to go ahead and see what the chair will look like in your room or in your living room, right? And this is what the hype was about last cycle. And now we're kind of seeing it in our everyday life being implemented like it's nothing, right? So I think gaming is going to come around again. And I'm glad you mentioned Axel Infinity, Tristan. I'm going to take my look at this because it does look at it. It's a pretty good area of support. I wonder if this is even still a thing. I mean, I'm sure you can still probably buy land and characters. But were you did you get into the chance of playing this game early on, Axel Infinity?
I wish. I didn't actually get the opportunity to play it, but I watched it from that get go, that very bottom there, and my usual this is not sustainable. This will never last, and then I eat my words for 2 months as it goes up 200% or whatever. But yeah, I should have traded it. But no,
Yeah.
I didn't actually play it. But no, that it's. I think that's the beginning though, because I have. If you're familiar, John, do you know the movie Ready Player One or the book?
Yes, man. I always
Uh,
talk about that movie. How I think the world's gonna go to that.
yeah, I hope so. That would be so cool. I think
Why
like
don't you talk a little bit about what Ready Player One is, so people could understand what we're talking about?
absolutely. So Ready Player One, I can find the author of the book here. Um, I won't be doing justice if I didn't say his name. By Ernest Cline, is a book, now a movie, about a future which is a little bit dystopian. So there was, I think it was wars or something, and it busted up the world economy, and things were quite depressing. And in this world of depression, a founder. Ernest Hemingway. I don't know. I don't remember his name. But anyways, this guy created what was called the Oasis, which is what we would probably call the metaverse, where people would log into the Oasis. They had not augmented,
The
virtual
virtual
reality.
goggles.
They'd have a virtual reality goggles, and they'd have virtual reality gloves, and there was even these things that they would step on, so it would even catch your movements. So you're basically putting your physical movements, and you could even feel what was happening in this oasis, this metaverse. And there was digital money, there was different games. So there was like death matches, Call of Duty style, there was races. And then in this metaverse, the founder passed away, but he gave the keys or the ownership of the company of this oasis to some winners. So the story, if you haven't watched the movie or read the book, really cool. And it's a good look of where I hope we're going to see in the future. Yeah, it was a great movie, and it's something that has really driven my passion for this world of Web3.
Yeah, and they do use this like interesting currency too as well. Their in-game currency, which is within the same model of play to earn as we were talking about. Like you're actually able to work in this world or win prizes and actually spend money in the virtual land, obviously. But you were literally almost able to experience this virtual world like if it was an actual place because of all the gear that you had put in. So I'd highly, highly recommend, as Tristan mentioned, go ahead and check out this movie, and you'll understand where like the play to earn and how I think as well the future will be going into. I know it scares a lot of people, but I think it also brings in a lot of opportunity. I don't know. I guess I'm a tech kind of guy, so I would definitely look forward to that. One thing there is around, and I'm not sure if they have it in Canada. I'm pretty sure they do, but they actually have a place called the Sandbox VR, which is very interesting. And you could actually go ahead and put on all this kind of gear. I'm not sure if this is the site. It is actually. I haven't gone to one. I'm going to go ahead and do this very soon. But Sandbox is actually a crypto company too, as well. It's a blockchain company. And what Tristan's actually talking about, you could actually play this with the gear, like as you see right here. I'm not sure if the audio's on, but as you can see right here, this is kind of the gear that we were talking about with Ready Player One, and this is the kind of the gear that you could actually go ahead and what you're seeing right now. This is what it was like with Ready Player One. So this is really cool. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check this out for myself and actually try this. I know there's a place nearby me, probably like about an hour and a half. But I would highly recommend you guys to check it out if you are interested into that. Have you ever tried any of this, Tristan, yourself?
That looks so cool. First off, that looks crazy. That would be really cool. No, we get nothing cool in Canada. Everything's in the States. But when I was living in Japan, we didn't have there was no sandbox like that. but there was similar alternatives. You weren't in such a massive room, but you were a little bit more enclosed. But yeah, that's that rare Ready Player One, that virtual economy. I think it's in, you'll have to go to special places at first, like a sandbox VR place. But once that gets into your home, that we're looking at a truly revolutionary stage. And I'm just absolutely excited for it. Next time I'm in the States.
Yeah, well, it looks like there is some in Canada, man. It says Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver.
Oh, we got one in
So
Vancouver.
I would recommend you to check this out. I'm gonna have to check this out myself, because I think if we're talking about play to earn and this Ready Player One, I think it's the best way to kind of see how this would play out is by experiencing it in the real world, right? And actually trying it. I'm gonna have to go ahead and do this. I've been telling myself that I'm gonna do this, and I keep on forgetting. But I'm gonna have to put this on my list, and I'll let you guys know the experience of what the virtual world was like. But this is pretty cool because this was all a talk about last cycle, and what I want to kind of show you is that this is not being talked about today. This is huge. Like Sandbox is actually actually a blockchain company. Like they have their own token. I'm not sure if it's actually related. I'm pretty sure it is. Mike says, "Wow, that's insane." Jugas says, "Good morning." How's it going, Jugas? Good morning.
How's
Welcome
it going,
in.
Jugas?
But yes, this is pretty crazy. I'd highly recommend all of you guys to check out Ready Player One, as I mentioned, so you kind of understand the economy with the gaming world, with real world assets also implemented, and the play to earn mechanism when it comes to gaming tokens such as Axel Infinity. And I'm sure there's a lot of gaming tokens. If you actually go to CoinMarketCap, you're going to see this section right here where it says gaming. And you could actually go ahead and see as you see the Sandbox. I'm not sure if this is related. I think it might be the same company. I don't think they would just be naming it the Sandbox VR. I mean, it could be. But the Sandbox is also another virtual land you could play, similar to Decentraland, which is very similar to kind of like a Minecraft, if you're familiar with that. But this is where you could go ahead and look into gaming. And we haven't even talked about too much about Gala, which is actually one of the gems that a lot of our mentors were talking about and mentioning in our group in Decentralized Masters. So highly recommend all of you guys to check the link down below in the description if you guys are interested to join our free group and give us a try. But as you see, there's a lot of tokens right here in the gaming world that no one's talking about. Engine being one of the big ones too last cycle. So basically what we're trying to tell you is to consider what we're talking about and take a look at where things are going. Because apparently, as you see right here, there also is big talks about GTA 6 including some sort of cryptocurrency in their system. So that's going to be really interesting to see where things go. GTA, Grand Theft Auto is also a really big game real in the worldwide. So like everyone knows what that game is. It's been out for years. So gaming is something I would highly recommend all of you to go ahead and give a try. But we do have to start wrapping things up, guys. We have a few minutes left. We do have to go ahead and cover a session for our private community. But before we move, anything else you want to add, Tristan?
Yeah, I just want to kind of reiterate what you just said. Although the hot ball of money isn't interested in gaming right now, that doesn't mean that gaming is a bad investment in Web3. Specifically because I'd say, the typical big AAA gaming companies, EA, now Activision just got bought by Microsoft, I believe. But these large AAA gaming studios, they aren't the same companies they used to be. The games they're making are not great quality coming out anymore. So again, this is a field, this is an industry that is ripe for disruption. So we could see the next big gaming studio might actually be one of these crypto gaming or Web3 gaming companies. So I think definitely taking a look, trying to do some analysis. If you're a gamer yourself, look into these gaming companies and then try and find somewhere that you have an edge. Because if you're a gamer, you know what makes a good game. use that to your advantage and look for companies in Web3 that offer a good product that you think could be a successful business.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that you definitely hit it spot on. One thing I would also mention and add on to that is, even if gaming's not a thing for you and you don't even want to learn it, consider something else. Maybe your interest is in AI. Maybe your interest is in meme coins, which we suggest to stay away from just because they're very volatile. But maybe you're more interested into real world assets. So maybe you're already in the field of real estate. It would make it a lot easier for you to understand something like mantra, right? So I would highly recommend always stick to what you understand the best or what you're interested in. So that way you could go ahead and spend the most time learning about it. And once again, just know that there's trends within the trend, in the cycle. So as right now AI is hot, there's going to come a point where gaming is going to take over, and you're going to probably wish that you were involved with the gaming world, right? So just know that there's going to be multiple trends within the cycle, and if you miss out a trend, it's okay. You could always look for the next one. Like, I missed out on AI agents. I didn't fall into the whole entire trend with AI agents. Do I wish I was exposed to it? Yes, 100%. Will I be jumping into it right now? Probably not. I think I'm kind of already late to that party. So I'm looking for the next party, and I think the next party is going to be gaming and DPIN, right? So that's where I'm going to be focusing my interest in and my energy. I think gaming and DPIN and specifically DeFi, because DeFi is a big one that a lot of people don't realize, but DeFi is one of the biggest. And that's where I want to be positioning myself for the next coming months, is into those industries. And like I mentioned, none of this is financial advice. Just always go ahead and look for what makes the most sense to you. And if you are new into crypto, I highly recommend you guys checking out our free community down below in the description. And with that
Also,
being
like
said,
and subscribe.
100%. I forgot to mention that. And turn on post notifications, because we are streaming now twice a week. I'm going to go ahead and have Tristan do the outro to this. But I really do appreciate all of you guys. And for all of those that are in our private community, you should be seeing Tristan and I very soon. I think Tristan's going to be joining me, but I have an advanced session in a few minutes. So I'll see you guys there. Do you want to do the outro, Tristan?
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in this week and watching me for 2 hours today. I hope you're walking away with clear strategies and insights to push your DeFi journey forward. Remember, DeFi is evolving fast, and staying ahead means taking action with the right knowledge. If you're ready to dive even deeper and want to build a roadmap for your own DeFi success, check out our DeFi masterclass. In the link, there's a link to it in the description below. In the training, you'll receive clear hands-on strategies to maximize returns, manage risk, and truly make the most of what DeFi has to offer from our very own CEO, Tan. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's live episode and Thursday's live episode. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and we will see you next time right here on Decentralized Masters.
Take care, everyone.
See you, everybody.